I find it very difficult sometimes just to wake up and just realize, how great I am, and being, 10 years running the backyard wiffle ball champion, and just being so great at what I do. Um, I'm just that good. Like, I really kind of am the shit, and it's unbelievable. So with that being said, I think today we're going to talk about the AFC playoff preview and predictions. We're going to talk about every team that is going towards the playoffs in the hunt, holder of a wild card or a division leader. Talk about how they can get to the playoffs, and not only that, we're going to talk about how they can win the potential Super Bowl. LA Chargers and Cleveland Browns have been left off this list. While the Browns could still potentially make the playoffs, I'm not quite sure that I think that would happen, so I disregarded them. LA Chargers have 7 losses. They're nowhere near this. AFC playoff preview and predictions. Let's go. To watch one, we're going to talk about the AFC. Every team that is in the hunt, realistically, holder of a wild card and a division leader in the AFC, what they have to do to push towards the playoffs, and if they can win the Super Bowl. Obviously, the AFC is not as stacked as the NFC is, but there are a lot of teams that are competing for a wild card in the AFC, while the division leaders kind of just sit up top. The AFC South division is not necessarily set in stone yet. We obviously know that the AFC East and the AFC North is probably unanimously going to be their winners. Despite how good the Bills are doing, the Patriots are 10-1 and probably will easily win that division. Ravens, the same thing. They don't have any competition in that division. So the first thing we're going to go over is the Indianapolis Colts. They're currently 6-5, and to my knowledge, they're in the hunt. We go over their remaining schedule as well. Tomorrow they have the Titans, and again, the way that we've been playing, that's not going to be an easy one. They play the Bucks. Could go either way. 15, they play the Saints. 16, Panthers. 17, Jags. So it's not so much that the Colts have games they can't win. The Titans game, I don't really think they'll win, and I don't think that they will win against the Saints. But the other games are all winnable, so their schedule leading out is not necessarily as difficult, but they are battling a lot of injuries. Their schedule is so, like I say, I'd say a safe bet is for them to not make it. I just think the team looks a lot different from what they looked like in the beginning of the season. Again, they have a lot of injuries, and I think, like I said, the Titans are really on the rise, and the Texans have been steady. And I wouldn't even be surprised to see the Titans win the division, but I think that the bet to win the division would be the Houston Texans, and the Titans will probably secure a wild card spot. I'm going to get to them in a minute. I don't think the Colts are going to make the playoffs. Again, their schedule coming up is not necessarily something that can't be conquered. It is just kind of where we are in this situation. The Tennessee Titans. As everyone knows, that is my football team and the franchise that I follow. Currently, we're 6-5 and in the hunt. We've been playing great football, I believe, since Tannehill has come on set. We are 4-1. No, I think he's played more than that. We are 4-1 in our last 5 games. Unfortunately, though, our schedule leading out is not going to be so friendly. We have the Colts this weekend, which I think we can win. We then play the Raiders, and hopefully they'll get their mojo back against the Jets, who blew them out. We then play the Texans week 15, the Saints week 16, and then the Texans again week 17. Like I said, our tough schedule is going to kind of put us in a bit of a disadvantage. Just from the standpoint of, we could probably beat the Colts. The Raiders are not a walk in the park, I don't think, personally. Houston is obviously the division leader for a reason, and then the Saints in that week 16. But again, we're a vastly different team. I feel like we switched from ever since Mariota was benched. Our defense has played great for majority of the season, but the tough schedule is going to be a detriment to us. Tannehill has changed the offense, helping us score tremendously, and I think that when it's all said and done, if we don't come back and win the division, I think that we could realistically slide a wild card. So I would say that the Titans are going to get a wild card spot, just based on our level of play. I'm not quite sure. I don't think we could win the Super Bowl. I don't think we will. But I think that we will find our way potentially into these playoffs. based on what we've seen. Again, tough schedule, but again, our team has played much better. Now, had Mariota have Mariota be your quarterback through these next 5 games, I'd say there's probably no way in hell. But that's that. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 6-5, and they currently hold the wild card. Again, they played much better as the season progressed, but again, right now they're at the turns of a lot of controversy, different decisions that they have to make, and Mike Tomlin has done a great job of coaching this team for a majority of this year, and he's a coach that never really gets the credit that I think he deserves. A questionable schedule. Why? You have Cleveland tomorrow, and honestly, I think they're going to run through Cleveland because again, there's a lot of blood and a lot of blood boiling going on into that game. Week 14, you have the Cardinals again, hit or miss, but I think they'd be able to take care of them. Week 15 is the test, playing Buffalo. Week 16 would be the Jets, and if the Jets start to build momentum, that may not even be a walk in the park. Ravens. Now, I don't know where the Ravens will be at 5 weeks from now. Let's assume that they need that game to get home field. The Steelers will not win the final game of the year if the Ravens are fighting for home field. I can promise you that. I don't think the Steelers are going to make it, but I don't think they're quite where they need to be, and I don't think that they're as strong. Again, quarterback has been a question mark. You can say what you want about Mason Rudolph. He's done decent, but I don't get the vibes from him that he's going to lead them to this 5-game win streak, and the team is just going to be all jolly and they're going to march their way into the playoffs. I just don't see it. Kansas City Chiefs. Are the team that is the question mark. Because we've seen them so dominant in the beginning of the year. But their defense, and again, Mahomes going down with injury, he wasn't down for too long, goodness for their sake. But Mahomes, like I said, going down with the injury, and their defense has really been a liability. You've seen it. I think they played the Ravens earlier in the season. You've seen them when they played Baltimore that they won, but they also gave up 31 points. So if you win a game 34-31, yeah, that's impressive, but your defense needs to have some questions answered there. Tomorrow they have the Raiders. Again, I think they'll win that. Week 14 they have New England. 15 the Broncos, 16 Bears, 17 Chargers. So again, their schedule is not really too hard outside of Week 14 if they can get through these next 2 games. I think they could definitely win out from Week 15 on. Those are all games that they should be able to win against teams that are not very good. They fell off a little bit. They maybe don't have that oomph that they had in the beginning of the season. But I still expect the Chiefs to make the playoffs. I think that it would shock a lot of us if the Chiefs were to miss out of the playoffs after such a promising start to the campaign. The team's defense, like I said, is a liability, and I think that that's what will hurt them in the playoffs. They rally. Chiefs are a team that desperately feeds off of home field, but their defense will shoot them in the foot in the playoffs. So I think that if the Chiefs play a team like let's say the Chiefs had to end up playing the Ravens, the Ravens will probably win that game just because the Ravens' defense is decent, like I said, and the Chiefs are not able to really shut teams down. I think that if the Chiefs really had a top defense or a better defense, they'd be a wrecking crew in the AFC. The Buffalo Bills have shocked most people this year. Um, and that is because they are 9-3, and we did not expect that. Um, the Bills have a very difficult schedule to conclude the season. Week 14 they have Baltimore, so that's the Ravens is going to be a really tough one for them. 15 they have the Steelers, again another team desperate to fall for a wild card playoff spot. 16 they have New England, and 17 the Jets. Now on paper, that's not the hardest schedule in the world, but you have to think that every team on this list, except for Baltimore and New England, who are tough matches of their own, are all desperately fighting, except for the Jets too, are desperately fighting for a playoff spot. So a team like the Cowboys that they just beat that's good. We knew they were going to beat them. But Ravens next week, who really want that home field, and the Bills defense, that should actually be a much better game than people anticipate. The Steelers, too, are another team that probably by week 15 they'll still be fighting for their life. 16, the Patriots, that's self-explanatory. And the Jets, who may just want to play spoiler to the Bills season or whatever it is. But the Bills are probably going to hold on to that wild card spot. Their defense has been great all year. The offense has been inconsistent at times. They're flying under the radar, and they will maintain a wild card spot. I expect the Bills to have a wild card spot and make the playoffs. I do not expect them to win a Super Bowl or go on to a tangent of losing 4 straight, but I expect that the Bills will probably, well, they're definitely going to make the playoffs if you ask me. Now, let's assume they lose to the Ravens and the Patriots. They could fall off quick. They're going to have to keep playing at their level because it would be a shocker to see the Bills not make the playoffs because of their schedule. But we will see what happens from them. The Houston Texans. Our team that currently leads the AFC South. They have the Patriots tomorrow, Broncos week 14, Titans 15, Bucks 16, and Titans again 17. Not the easiest schedule for the Texans. The Bucks are a team that offensively could keep up with the Texans. Titans again have been playing great, and they have to play them twice in the last 5 weeks. Patriots tomorrow, that's self-explanatory. They're still fighting for home field, and the Broncos are just not very good. So really, it's not the easiest schedule in the world for the Texans. They're going to have to keep fighting, and I would be shocked to say this, but I wouldn't be surprised to see the Texans slide off the division throne and get a wild card. I expect the Texans to make the playoffs either way. They lost a little bit of a step throughout. If they don't win the division, they will steal a wild card spot. I do expect the Houston Texans to fully win the playoffs, but let's be generous and say because their schedule is a little bit easier, let's just say that the Texans are going to win the division. Part of my heart, I don't know what it is about being a Titans fan. I just believe that we're going to potentially come back and actually win the division. But I'm going to go with the Texans to win the division. Again, you've shown that when they play with those super elite teams, they cannot keep up. They will not be winning a Super Bowl, and I don't even know if they will win a playoff game. It all depends on who they play. I think, personally, the Texans are a little bit overhyped, and they are not necessarily as good as people say they are. Yes, they have talent, and Deshaun Watson's great, but we've seen how they fold over in elite games. The Oakland Raiders are a team that has caught a lot of people by surprise this year. Schedule real quick. They got Kansas City tomorrow. It's not going to be easy. They play the Titans 14, not going to be easy. 15 Jags, 16 Chargers, 17 Broncos. So again, after week 14, it should be a walk in the park for mostly the Raiders. They'll have to get through these next 2 games, and I feel like Kansas City, the Chiefs as a whole, are due for a really big game. And again, the Titans week 14, we are coming, and people, we are legit. I'm trying to tell you guys, you just don't understand it. We are legit. Again, we're not winning no Super Bowl, but Raiders are going to, as long as the team does not fall and they don't let that loss to the Jets last week build, I'm expecting the Raiders to still make the playoffs, and I think that they're going to get one of the 4 wild card spots in the AFC. Again, their question is going to be getting through the next 2 weeks because I think 15, 16, 17 should all be a walk in the park against 3 below average teams. The New England Patriots. Now, if there's one thing I'm going to say about the Patriots, it's the fact, the gift of the easy schedule. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the team, perhaps. They have one of the best, if not the best, no, 49ers have the best. They have one of the top 3 defenses in the league, and I feel personally that the New England Patriots defense has held them to and secured wins for them. If you look at the last couple weeks, the Cowboys, the Patriots didn't score, defense held it down, bad weather. What was it the game before that? The Eagles, same thing. Eagles made mistakes, defense held it down. So, again, tomorrow they have Houston. Don't really know what they'll get from that. Then they have Kansas City 15. And then after that, outside of week 16, it should be a walk in the park. Texans, Chiefs, Bengals, Bills, Dolphins. Bills game could be interesting. Outside of that, week 15 should be walk in the park, and 17 as well. For some reason, I think that the Patriots are still going to win out. At the late point in the season, it would be interesting to see what you get from a team like the Bills, because again, they matched up earlier and the Bills really held them down despite not getting the win. I feel like Week 16, when they play Buffalo again, is going to be interesting just to kind of see, kind of like a talent test, just to see where they are. Um, and even if New England does lose that game, well, they still will certainly make the playoffs and probably have home field. Um, you'll learn a lot from that Week 16 game against Buffalo as to where they match up and what happened. The Patriots, just to keep their names alive, should probably blow somebody out over the next couple weeks. And I have a fear that tomorrow the Texans are going to be a victim of the New England Patriots thrashing. And again, Week 14 could be interesting too. We're going to kind of see where the Chiefs are at. Patriots are going to get home field. They will certainly win their division and probably and definitely make the playoffs. As far as the Super Bowl goals, if they can beat Baltimore, they will be in the Super Bowl. I know that. Will they be able to win it? I really don't think so. I think the NFC is so stacked. But I wouldn't be surprised to see the Patriots in the Super Bowl again. I just don't see them winning it. Final team to go over is probably the most electric team of the NFL this year. The Baltimore Ravens. And their schedule all season long has been extremely crucial. Um, Tomorrow afternoon, you see them play the 49ers. That will probably be a potential Super Bowl preview and one of your best games leading up to the playoffs. I think you'll learn a lot from that game, like I said, based on where everything's going to go. Then they have to play a tough game against Buffalo. 15, the Jets, don't sleep on them, but they should run right through the Jets. 16, they beat Cleveland, who could potentially still be in the playoffs at that point in the season. It'll be the Steelers who will probably try to secure a playoff berth as well. I think based on probability and what has happened, I would say the Ravens going to the Super Bowl is probably your best bet. But again, the New England Patriots will probably wait for them in a very cold and windy Foxborough in the middle of January. And that, for any team, is the hardest test of the season. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I'm going with the Ravens to make it to the Super Bowl, and we'll get to the NFC next.